Hello, Talk Funders. Today we're talking to Parker from Tego about the Tego Roll and Go Ultimate Travel Bag, live on Indiegogo. So let's go. Let's get on with the show. Hello, Talk Funders. Today we're joined by Parker from Tego. Hello there, my friend. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Parker, we'll just go straight into looking at your Indiegogo page here, which is about the Tego Roll and Go Ultimate Travel Bag. Can you basically just quickly introduce the bag itself?
Well, the bag is it's a tool roll, so it unrolls. But what's really cool about the tool roll is that it has individual sections that slide apart. So here's the bag, and you can pull every single section apart like this. Every section has a hook on one side and a slide on the other. And the result is that you can design your own bag. And
fantastic.
You know, what we like to say is that what you carry is as unique as your fingerprints. So why are you using a bag designed by somebody else?
Wow, and thank you for that introduction. And we'll look at the elements of the bag itself in the Talk Funding deep dive, which is coming up next, and how this really interesting design all fits together. I just want to move on from I recommend all the Talk Funders and Indiegogoers just to look at the video itself, because it's a really explanatory video and it really will highlight all the features and benefits of this really interesting bag, which I must admit, I mean, if proof of concept is anything to go by, and the amount of money you've already raised says it all, that this is a great bag. And again, in the backstory, we'll be saying that this is the third iteration. This is your third successful crowdfunding campaign, and it really is just building on the success of those other two campaigns. And in this a time of recording now, you've got what, $186,000 from nearly 2,000 backers. So this bag has got market validation, shall we say. So just moving on down from the excellent Indiegogo video, I just scrolled down and I noticed this, where you did say that previously it was on Kickstarter and it was fully funded in 9 minutes. So again, probably in the backstory, we can talk about how you engage with your audience, with your crowd, who's giving you constant feedback and you're constantly asking them for design ideas. But moving on from that is, what is the Tego Adventure Kit? And I just love this, what you've written here is the Tego Adventure Kit is a revolutionary, customizable carry solution for your everyday essentials, designed by you for you, because who is better to design your bag than you? And in the rest of this main interview, I'm really going to leave it open to Parker here from Tego to talk us through about this whole idea of the design and the consumer-led ethos of your bag. So Parker, we'll maybe just scroll down to the next part of the Indiegogo campaign, and we'll look at this and start with this question: how do you pack and roll?
Well, so the basic idea behind this is what you carry is different from what everybody else carries. And so no one bag will suffice for both of us and everybody else. So this was actually uncovered. We, after every campaign, I pull in between 20 and 30 backers into a program I call the Tago Testers. And they get into a Slack channel and then talk for a year. It's like a deep dive into their needs. And the biggest need that came out of it was, what you carry is not what I carry. We had a woman who's a hunter and takes a bag full of our hunting supplies. We have lots and lots of travelers who take, a variety of toiletries. And then I think one of the most interesting ones, we had an electrical lineman who dangles from helicopters when natural disasters occur. He's the guy that goes in first, and he's got to live out of his bag for several weeks usually. So he carries tools and supplies and is always looking for easier ways to carry them. So how do you make a bag that's perfectly different for everybody? And that was the sort of the foundational design question that we tried to answer with this.
And that what you just shared about, was it 100-year-old lady and the famous line man from the song, is that it really is the roll and go bag that is just as flexible as you are. So it really is, it fits your needs rather than what Parkour or Tego thinks your needs should be.
Yeah, you get to design the bag. And our goal was, you don't just design it once for what you carry, you actually design it for every single trip. So if you're going on a short trip, you then take one section. If you're going on a super long safari, then add in 7 and load them all up. If you've got a specialty need, then we'll have a quiz on our site where you can come and answer questions about it, and it'll recommend the sections that you need.
This is fantastic, and I'm going to look at I mean, how you've engaged with your crowd that you've developed over the years is fantastic, and maybe we can sort of elaborate that more into the in the backstory part of the interview, but also in terms of the deep dive, how you can assemble the bag to fit each trip just sounds absolutely brilliant. So just moving on now to the scrolling down the next part of the Indiegogo page, I really laughed whenever I looked at this gift because. Well, I think we've all been there. We've opened the bag and the shampoos burst.
Yeah. Well, this was our, I think the old way of traveling is that this is possible, that, you can open your bag and, see that your hairbrush and your toothbrush are having a makeout session. It's just this idea of there is one black hole where you put all of your stuff. And the impetus behind the whole idea was, I had this happen. It was on a trip and the conditioner blew, and that's what it looked like. And I thought, is this really the best thing that we can do? So I started experimenting and made the very first tool roll, and it was just supposed to be for me. And it kind of got out of hand after that.
Well, it certainly has got out of hand, my friend. I mean, it's really the evolution of this product is amazing. And that's so interesting with the original concept. And maybe you can elaborate more on that in the backstory. Oh, is your own initial experience of opening up in a bag going, oh my God, the shampoos exploded here.
Yeah.
So we'll just scroll down into the next part of the.
I think the takeaway is that I'm the customer. I mean, this was originally designed to support my life, to solve a problem that I was having. And I found that lots of others were having it as well.
Fantastic. Great. I mean, and here is the solution. Now, this is sort of shall we say, the 3rd gen of the travel bag.
Yeah.
The title of this section is Our New Way of Travel.
Yeah. My point that I was trying to get across here was you can slide these sections together in any configuration that you want.
It's fantastic. And I really, for people just to scroll down and look at the different gifts and the different photographs, it really shows it all. And this really is, I love this quote here because it really is a nod to, I hope, 2022, when let's call it whatever you want to call it, the new normal, or hopefully post everything. I just love this quote here. Travel is back, but what we carry is different. Now we take chargers and cables, dongles and dog toys, thingamabobs and doodads. Your bag needs to organize all of them. And
yeah, I mean, what I was trying to do was, this started as a toiletry kit, but the clear request from the community was that it be more versatile. And we've got one woman named Kristen Burbowie who she's a maker. She carries tools wherever she goes. So she's packed her Tego with all of her tools and uses it as her maker go bag. I've got another woman who's using it for art supplies. I mean, it ended up being used in all this variety of different ways. And I wanted to see if I could support those in a new way.
Oh, fantastic, man. It really is. Yeah, I love it. If you scroll down the Indiegogo page again, there's another section here which is just highlighting some of the features of it and benefits of the bag. Is there any ones you'd like to talk through there, Parker?
I mean, I think you'll get to it, but the recycled materials is probably the most important part. The bag is made from recycled PET. That's the same plastic that goes into soda bottles. So the bag uses the equivalent of 2.7 soda bottles on the exterior fabric and the interior lining. It's all post-consumer, so it's pulled out of the waste stream. So my hope is that it'll make an impact on trash, really.
Yeah, and the other aspect, which I think is a TSA safe. Would you like to say something about that?
Well, it's just that the idea is that you can pull off the sections that need to go through the inspection, leave the rest in your carryall, and then throw in the sections that need to go through the scanner. And so I usually just pull off the section that's got my liquids in it and have those go through, and then everything else can stay in my bag. But you can pull off whatever it is that you want to send through, and you can make it the exact same size as the bin.
Fantastic. And here we are now. It gets even more specific here. And again, we'll be really looking at this in detail in the deep dive part of the interview. But in this section here, it's called the sections. So these are the sort of the 7 key sections. Is that right, Parker?
Yeah, that's right. Do you want me to go through them one by one?
Yeah, let's just quickly go through them, and then we can look at them specifically in the deep dive part.
Okay, so the first one, number 2, is the section that's required for every roll. That's the outer closure section. It's got a belt on it, and it's got some structures in there that give the whole thing a lot of kind of strength and padding. Number 3 is what we call our big mouth section, and it's for compacts and dental floss and things like that. The 4 is the liquid pocket. 5 is, we're calling that the elastic loop section, because it's got these elastic loops that you can slide things in to hold them steady. 7 is a cord wrap. We're still doing a little development on 7, so it's going to look a little different. Number 1 is just a zipper pocket for tall, skinny things, chargers, technology doodads, electric toothbrushes. And then 6 is the hanger. And if you don't want to use the hanger, we'll eventually have a section that you can use to hang it with carabiners, things like that.
Fantastic. And then again, we'll look at this in the deep dive about the combinations. The sections slide together to configure more than 100 possible combinations. 327,
if I did my math right.
Wow. And is that from those 7 parts that we just looked about, or can you add even more on?
Oh yeah, if you got more, if you got 2, you could add as many as you want. We've had 35 sections all strung together. The whole thing was about 12 feet long.
Really? So like you can so say somebody like say the lineman, I just love that image of this lineman hanging out of a helicopter.
He could do that. And what we wanted to do was create the ability to customize for yourself. So the idea is you'd come to the site and you'd say, all right, I want to carry all my collector's pens, which are tall, skinny things like this. And so it would then recommend that you get 5 sections of, number 5, that's the elastic loop section, to safely store all your pens and keep them from rubbing against each other.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And then moving on, scrolling down the Indiegogo page more, is everything in exactly the same place when you unpack, which is so important.
Yeah, this is like one of the fundamental premises is like this is not a black hole where you put all your stuff and you never can tell. I mean, I'll tell you the story when we get to it, but one of the reasons I really like these tool rolls is that you can see when something's missing. So if everything is organized, I originally used it for wrenches when I had a little airplane, and I could see if my wrench was missing and I was leaving it behind. So I'd run back and get it. I just like the sense of organization that you pack it, you roll it up, and then when you unpack it, everything is in exactly the same place.
So it really is like, in one sense, a secure place for everything, all your little items.
A place for everything and everything in its place.
Yes, that's it. That's the phrase I was looking for. That's great. And then just scrolling down again, tough, durable, and water resistant. So again, this gives a really strong nod to the quality of the product.
Yeah, it does. So when we get to the deep dive, I'll show you the machine that we tested the slides, but we started off testing them by hand, just kind of going back and forth, and that got old fast. And so I found a group of high schoolers that built me a machine that would basically used a 3D printer motor to slide them back and forth 5,000 times, and some of them 10,000 times.
Fantastic. Well, that's a story in itself, which sounds interesting. And again, it's PET. It's really from recycled plastic bottles, which you've mentioned earlier. We'll look at this in the backstory regarding the success of the Tego, and it's been really featured on all manner of companies and brochures, etc. Now the rewards breakdown. Just moving on to that. Very, very generous rewards program you have here.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to note is that the rewards get cheaper the more you purchase. So the bigger discount on each one.
I think I would need to get the second one because it's
Please
like,
do. Well, what's cool about that is then you can mix and match. So you could design one to carry technology and you can carry one to carry toiletries.
I know it's more like my better half, she loves bags. So if I got one, she'd have to get one. It was more basic than that, I'm afraid, Parker.
Yeah.
Again, we've just, again, on the Indiegogo page, we just mentioned about every Tego bag is taking out 2.7 plastic bottles from the landfill and from the ocean. So thank you for your work towards that. And I just love this. Again, we can talk about this if you in your backstory about your ethos behind the company, that you really are moving to, you're climate neutral certified.
Yeah, that just means that I mean, this is a big deal, and I can explain the story behind it, but it means that we have measured and offset and have a plan to reduce our carbon emissions that are scope 1, 2, and 3. So that's basically everything from the fabric and the making of the fabric to the manufacturing and all the manufacturing processes, and then all of the travel to get it here and out into stores, and then all of the functions of the company. So it's the entire thing.
Wow. Superb, my friend. We'll skip over just the sections about yourself because I really want to cover that in the deep dive. And here's an early nod. I really want to find out about this airplane that you've built.
Yeah.
And but really, let's just begin to finish off the main interview here, which was basically looking at your timeline. And you really went through prototyping and everything. So you're really at the latter stages here. So
yeah.
Your campaign was your Kickstarter campaign was very accessible. Now you've rolled that over to Indiegogo in demand, which is on all these links will be in the video description below. So you're set to start manufacturing November and shipping February. So it'll be in everybody's hands basically by spring 2022. Would that be correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We're already running into, we can do this on the deep dive too, but my big takeaway on previous campaigns is that you have every single thing nailed down so that when the campaign concludes, all you do is say, I want, 5,000, that's it. And I am to that point. The problem is the place where we manufacture in Vietnam near Ho Chi Minh City has been shut down for a month for COVID. So we're already getting COVID impacts. And then there's Shipageddon, which is the cost of 20-foot equivalent containers has quintupled.
Yes.
So we're trying to solve that too.
Yeah. So the joys of entrepreneurship, which is we can talk about
joy of joy
in the backstory. But I love your transparency to sort of, you're not sort of trying to hide from everybody. And I think what is shining out even in this main interview is your basically your love of your crowd that you've developed over this Tego. I mean, it's like they're all your customers are like personal friends, aren't they?
Well, it does feel like that. And I obviously don't know all of them, but one of my hypotheses going into this was, is it possible to co-design a product with your customers? And so that's the secret behind the Tago Testers. And it absolutely is. I mean, those guys I know all by first names, and they have been with me for the last year, co-designing this thing. Everything that they said, we've implemented in the product. And it, to me, that I at first tried to have individual conversations with them all, and I couldn't pull that off. It was like logistically a nightmare. And so I put them all into a room, and that's where the magic started happening, because they would have good ideas amongst themselves. They would get shot down. They would get improved. Like the conversations / arguments in that room were just amazing.
But they're golden for you.
Yeah,
as the designer, as the person. And it's just like I just love it. I love that engagement. There's really so much for you to share in terms of people who are thinking of doing their first crowdfunding campaign, etc. In your journey, which we'll hopefully cover in the backstory. But there's so many elements to what you're just saying there is golden to people. Again, as you just mentioned a few moments ago regarding shipping, there is challenges because of what's been happening in the world the last 18 months. But that's all the shipping costs, etc., will be in the and
to be clear, I did not include shipping costs and the cost of this is going to be later on.
Yes.
So when you do your survey is when you'll end up paying shipping based on where you are.
And so just to finish off this excellent and very interesting main interview, I'd like to thank Parker from Tego and the Tego Roll On and Go Ultimate Travel Bag, and all the links for the Indiegogo campaign and to Parker's website, etc., will be in the video description below. Thank you so much for doing this main interview with us today, Parker. And now we'll be looking at a deep dive, which will be basically Parker really giving us an in-depth look at the Tego Roll On and Go Ultimate Travel Bag. So thank you very much, my friends. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, mate.